We are back for another instalment of EV Morning. You know what I'm about to say? Grab yourself a brew and I'll bring you some EV news. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Martin Lee, and if you like what we do here, hit subscribe so you never miss a show. Let's start on two wheels. We mentioned the Future Factory and the Ola scooter on the show recently. That's the 48-acre facility, which can manufacture 10 million electric scooters per year when it's finished. So now it seemed fitting to pass on the news of how bookings went when they opened up. In the space of the first 24 hours, the company secured 100,000 bookings of its Ola scooter. It's a hugely exciting time for India and what's planned to be the world's biggest EV manufacturing plant. Good news for all of us in this global push to electrification. The scooter will be delivered from August 15th. They're also building what they've called the hypercharger network, over 100,000 charging points in 400 cities. And that scooter can add 75 kilometers of range in just 18 minutes. Next in the news, the Ioniq 5 from Hyundai making a huge impact on the EV world. When it was first fully revealed a few months back, it really hit the mark with so many people. It had plenty of space, good range, fast charging, vehicle-to-load capability, and a host of great features. Now it's the turn of the UK, readying for customer deliveries. The Silver Ray is the ship, the carrier, arriving with 3,900 Hyundais on board, and they wouldn't spill the beans of how many of those were the new Ioniq 5 model, but we hope plenty of them were, and that customers will get their cars very soon. The ship travelled 12,000 miles to get here from those vehicles being manufactured in South Korea. Landing in late July should mean Hyundai's first effort using the EGMP platform is going to shoot up the sales charts for August and probably September as well. Best of luck to them. There's another ship following closely behind as well. And when we get one, you can bet we'll give it a full driving review on the channel. We'll go to do a bit of battery news now and skip over to China. Contemporary Ampere technology has announced their first generation of sodium-ion batteries. Now, this technology is not particularly new, has offered some real challenges to scale and come out of the lab and into the real world, but recent developments suggest the energy density is improving to around 160 watt-hours per kilogram. The sodium-ion battery has the added bonus of being particularly resilient in very cold weather climates. With a capacity retention of more than 90% at negative 20 degrees Celsius. They can hold a fast charge rate for longer and have excellent thermal stability. And if that all sounds too good to be true, it actually gets better. This type of battery doesn't contain any cobalt or nickel, and at scale, therefore can prove to be very competitively priced. And we're staying in China for a moment, where sales of VW's EV range have not gone according to plan, we'll say. They had originally budgeted for sales of between 80 and 100,000 of the ID cars across their range. But we're at the halfway point in the year, and VW have achieved just under 20,000. Obviously, very disappointing, and even the CEO, Herbert Diess, himself said they got to change their approach in China. They're launching more retail sites as the year goes on, but only time will tell if it's a shift in strategy and if it's going to be enough to convince the Chinese market that a VW ID EV is the way to go. On to the next story. In time was a few years back, if you wanted an EV, you'd get a Leaf, and it was your best option unless you could afford a high-end Model S or X. But the winds have changed for the Japanese manufacturer, and the market share is way down in the US. And now the national network Electrify America and Electrify Canada have announced they will start to phase out installations of the Chademo plug. It starts in 2022, their third cycle of the project. Now, our friends over at Inside EVs claim to have an Electrify America source, and they told them about 5% of the electricity dispensed on their networks is through the Chademo socket. With the upcoming Nissan Ariya abandoning Chademo as well and switching to CCS, the writing seems to be on the wall for the Chademo socket, outside of Japan at least. It's something that has a lot going for it, but it does seem to be on its way out. An exception, though, is the Californian state, where they will continue installing it. And we'll talk Lucid next. A quick note from the US Stock Exchange. Lucid's CEO and CTO, Peter Rawlinson, rang the opening bell on the exchange on a day that saw the company raise $4.4 billion in funding. And that's important. They're going to use that money to develop their Arizona site by adding a 2.7 million square foot facility and adding a line for the upcoming Lucid SUV. It's big money for a big factory, making a car with big ambitions and even bigger range. They're all about efficiency at Lucid, and with manufacturing at the facility closing in on final checks, it can't be long before the Lucid Air gets into customers' driveways. So that's it from us today, a little whirlwind roundup of a few recent stories to tell you about. As always, we want to hear from you and your thoughts on what we covered. Are you a Leaf owner in the US, annoyed at phasing out of Chademo? What do you think of VW's EV sales in China? A blip? Or something more serious? Let us know in the comments below. We can keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, give us a thumbs up down there, and it tells us to make more shows like it. And we'll see you on the next one.